So regular viewers of the FIA World Rallycross Championship will be familiar with last year's support category RX Lights. It's now called RX2. It's had a rebrand, it's gone international, and I thought for today's RXtech we ought to have a look at what makes these fantastic cars work. Round the back here, hiding underneath, Ian Davis, good to see you.
Hi, good to see you again.
Championship manager for RX2. Ian, first of all, tell us what makes up the spec of these cars?
Well, we've got a permanent four-wheel drive, 300 horsepower, normally aspirated engine. So the idea is to make them as similar as we can to the supercars that are out there. We have a SADEV four-wheel drive system, which actually copes with a lot more horsepower. So we're after reliability and cost, but equally keeping a product that's pretty similar to drive as they go up the championship order.
We'll head around the front, just going to look at the front end of the car. We've had a couple of people have come out of this championship, of course, Kevin Eriksson, Kevin Hansen, both gone on to be superb supercar drivers, and as you say, that's a big part of this.
Yes, and it's a massive part for us. When we started to design the cars, and back in 2012, the idea was to create a formula that was going to allow people to race competitively, but similar to supercars. So the components on the cars, well, as we said earlier, being permanent four-wheel drive and having similar engine characteristics, we made the cars so that you could bump and run. We all know that there's a certain amount of contact
there is a certain amount
within the sport, but it's important for the younger drivers, people to be able to repair their car and get out to the next grid. So everything that you see on the car here, from this front crash bar section here, which folds up, it's held on by 4 bolts. As you hit somebody, it generally mangles, absorbs the. 10 minutes later, you have a new front crash bar on it. Everything on this car is designed to be very, not only cost effective, but easily changeable. And that's what I think sets itself apart from other formulas.
And then all the cars are the same, obviously, that in terms of the parts that are on the car, but we can see a few things you can change on the suspension here and the dampers. So how much can the drivers change to suit their driving style?
Again, the basic fixed components, like the shock absorber, like the spring, are fixed for all competitors. But you can change the ride out of the car, so that the pitch and the roll. You can change actual shock absorber settings that are within it, the bump and rebound for your hardness and softness of the car. And you can change the roll centers, which is what we see here on the bottom, camber, caster, toe. So trying again to make it's a learning formula for everybody, from young mechanics to young drivers. It's enough to keep the cars equal, but to give them the cars get a really good setup on a good weekend, it just gives them that 2/10 a lap and just sets them apart from the others, and that's part of the craft.
Yeah, you don't want to get to a supercar and be talking to an engineer, I guess, and not have a clue what you want to do with the feel of the car.
We spend a lot of time with new young drivers trying to make the car really, really stiff, so they learn what those characteristics are, make the car very soft and wallowy, so they learn themselves, so that when they get to the Kevin Hansen and the Kevin Eriksson stage of being in factory teams, that they know what they're talking about. It's all part of that ongoing development. You're never going to see very old people in RX2 that choose it as a formula. It's a stepping stone for those people that are all looking for factory drives in a supercar.
So I'm going to throw you under the bus a bit here. Obviously, you're running 6 cars. I think there's 18 cars. It's super competitive. Who should we be watching out for? Is that just completely open ahead around one?
No, I think there's 4 or 5 guys out there that are very good. And I think we have Sir Raymond, that's back last year's champion. We have Tanner Whitten, who's a previous winner of races from the USA, that's come across the water to race here. We have Simon Olafsson, that's been doing very well in the winter series that you all know from last year. I think it's very unlikely that anybody will win more than 2 events in the 7-round series. So.
It's going to be a brilliant season of action in RX2 then. You can keep up with it all alongside World RX as always.